Hello friends, let us now learn some important topic. The next important topic, which is the beta blocker. The beta blockers are divided into three generations. First generation beta blocker, which is non-selective beta blocker. Then we have second generation beta blocker, which is selective beta blocker. Then we have third generation beta blocker, which includes beta blocker with vasodilatation property, is third generation beta blocker. The first generation or non-selective beta blockers include, the examples of drugs are, first we have the shortcut NAPTOP. The shortcut is NAPTOP, which is for nadolol, alpranolol, propranolol, timolol, oxprenolol and pindolol. Oxprenolol and pindolol. These are first generation or non-selective beta blockers. Nadolol, alpranolol, propranolol, timolol, oxprenolol and pindolol. Now if you see the second generation, which is selective beta blockers, are divided into two types, beta 1 blocker and beta 2 blocker. Beta 1 blocker is cardioselective, and this includes the shortcut. New beta blockers are cardioselective. New beta blockers are exclusively cardioselective mainly. This is the shortcut. Okay. So for new we have nebivolol, which is the most cardioselective beta blocker. Then B for betoxolol, and another B for bisoprolol, R A for acebutolol and etinolol, E for esmolol, cardioselective for celiprolol, C for celiprolol and M for metoprolol. So if you see nebivolol, betoxolol, busiprolol, acebutolol, etinolol, exclusively, that is esmolol, celiprolol and metoprolol. This you should remember, very important. These second generation beta blockers. Then if you see beta 2 blockers are betoxamine, which is not used clinically. These beta 1 blockers or cardioselective blockers are preferred in diabetes mellitus, bronchial asthma, peripheral vascular disease and hyperlipidemia. This is also preferred in hyperlipidemia. Then if you see the next group of drugs are third generation beta blockers, are beta blockers with vasodilation property. So first, a beta blocker with alpha blocking property. First, it is a beta blocker with alpha blocking property. This is given by the mnemonic CLAMB. So C for carvedilol, L for labetalol, M for medroxylol and B for bucindolol. C for carvedilol, L for labetalol, M for medroxylol, B for bucindolol. Second, based on release of nitric oxide, which is CNN, which is nebivolol, celiprolol and niprodilol. Then if you see beta 2 agonist and beta 2 blocker, these include CCB, which is, this is side effect example is CCB. These are celiprolol, cartiolol and bopindolol. Then fourth, we have calcium channel blocker with beta blocking property. This is by the mnemonic CBB, which is carvedilol, bevantolol and betoxolol. This is CBB, with this, which is calcium channel blocking property with beta blocker. Then the fifth one, it is beta blocker with potassium channel opening property, which is tilisolol. Okay. So these are the third generation beta blockers. Then the next group of drugs are beta blockers with intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. These beta blockers with intrinsic sympathomimetic activity include beta blocker with beta 1 agonistic partial agonistic property. These patients are mainly prone to develop bradycardia. These patients are prone to develop severe bradycardia. So if you see, these beta blockers have intrinsic sympathomimetic. Sympathomimetic is agonistic activity. So they have beta 1 agonistic activity. So this is given by the mnemonic. They contain partial agonist like property. They contain partial agonist like property. This is beta 1 agonistic, like celiprolol, cartiolol, P for pindolol, A for eliprolol and acebutolol, L for labetalol and P for penbutolol or oxbrinolol. So all these are the examples of beta blockers with intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. Now beta blockers with membrane stabilizing activity. These beta blockers with membrane stabilizing activity, these are local anesthetic potential. These have local anesthetic potential because they block sodium channels, and these beta blockers are used in antiarrhythmic action. Side effects of these beta blockers with membrane stabilizing activity is they cause corneal anesthesia, and as a result they are avoided in glaucoma. Then if you see the examples, it can be given by the mnemonic, possess mainly local anesthetic potential. So P for propranolol, M for metoprolol, L local for labetalol, A for acebutolol, P for pindolol. So this beta blockers with membrane stabilizing activity is mainly preferred in beta blocker sensitive patients. Then we have lipid insoluble beta blockers. Lipid insoluble beta blockers are not lipid soluble, and thus they are excreted in the kidney. So they also have long duration of action. Because they are excreted in kidney, they are contraindicated in renal failure, because they won't be excreted in renal failure at all, because if they are normally excreted by kidney. Examples are given by the mnemonic CANBS. The mnemonic is CANBS, CANBES. C for celiprolol, A for atenolol, acebutolol, N for nadolol, B for bitoxolol and bisoprolol, S for sotalol. So this nadolol is the longest acting beta blocker. So the next drug, which is esmolol, is actually the shortest acting beta blocker. This esmolol is rapidly metabolized by RBC esterases, and that is the reason why it is called shortest acting beta blocker. Beta blockers which are non-selective. Non-selective beta blockers, if you see important points, that is beta 1 blocker. This beta 1 blocker will decrease the myocardial oxygen demand and thus used in classic angina. This beta blocker also causes coronary vasoconstriction, and this is because beta blocker can cause coronary vasoconstriction. It is contraindicated in variable angina. Then these are the important two things about beta 1 blocker. Then if you see, is because of the blockade of beta 2 receptor, this beta 2 blockade causes vasoconstriction, and this vasoconstriction because of beta 2 blockade can cause worsens the peripheral vascular disease. and beta 2 blocker also causes bronchoconstriction. So these are contraindicated in asthma. These beta 2 blockers will increase LDL and decrease HDL, and they are not used in dyslipidemia. These beta 2 blockers will decrease the aqueous humor production. They will decrease the aqueous humor production and thus used in glaucoma. Then one more thing, in diabetes mellitus, especially diabetes mellitus, the side effect of diabetes mellitus is hypoglycemia. These hypoglycemia results in symptoms like shivering, sweating, lightheadedness, epigastric pain sometimes. It can also cause tachycardia and fainting also. So all these are sympathetic cholinergic symptoms. So these, when the patient gets these symptoms, then he gets alerted and eats sugar. But if there is beta blockade and there is hypoglycemia, and in the presence of if there is hypoglycemia and if he is taking these beta blockers, the sympathetic cholinergic symptoms we do not get them. So there is no sympathetic symptoms. There will be only sweating. Apart from that, all the other sympathetic symptoms have been abolished due to beta blockade. And this results in severe hypoglycemia, because normally if there is hypoglycemia, if the patient finds himself in hypoglycemia, then he eats some sugars and thus maintains the blood sugar level. But in the presence of beta blockers, he is not alerted with his symptoms, and as a result he lands up in severe hypoglycemia. That is the reason why beta blockers are contraindicated in patients with diabetic mellitus. These beta 2 blockers also cause vasoconstriction and worsen the peripheral vascular disease, and these are contraindicated in Raynaud's diseases. They are contraindicated in Raynaud's disease. Next, the next important drug here is the half-life of esmolol. If you see, that is 8 to 10 minutes. Landiolol half-life is 4 minutes, which is even more shorter than esmolol, but we take esmolol to be shortest acting beta blocker. Okay, this esmolol is rapidly metabolized by RBC esterases. So esmolol is the drug of choice for intraoperative and post-operative hypertension and arrhythmias. Then the next drug which is, that is esmolol. Next drug which is celiprolol. This celiprolol is actually preferred beta blocker in bronchial asthma. This celiprolol is preferred beta blocker in bronchial asthma. See, beta 2 blocker plus beta blocker is celiprolol, which is preferred in bronchial asthma. See, normally if you use normal beta blockers, if you see normal beta blockers, these will cause bronchoconstriction and contraindicated in asthma. But this celiprolol has beta 2 agonistic activity, and thus it can cause bronchodilation instead of normal bronchoconstriction effect of beta blockers. So thus it is the drug of choice in hypertension with bronchial asthma. The next drug is acebutolol. Acebutolol on metabolism, it forms diacetyl. This diacetyl is an active compound. Then the drug betoxolol is preferred in patients with open angle glaucoma. It is preferred in patients with open angle glaucoma and history of bronchial asthma. That is betoxolol. So this beta 2 agonist, one more the thing is betoxolol. Then it can also be used in bronchial asthma. Then if you see beta blockers which are contraindicated in renal failure patients. These renal failure patients are those with creatinine more than 1. So this is given by the mnemonic ANS, that is atenolol, nodelol and sotalol are contraindicated in renal failure. They are excreted by renal route. Then the drug sotalol has potassium blocking property. So this sotalol, which has potassium binding property, is used as class 3 antihypertensive drug which will prolong the QT interval. It is used as antiarrhythmic drug class 3 and it will prolong the QT interval, that is sotalol. Then the next drug is carvedilol. Carvedilol is most commonly used beta blocker in congestive heart failure. So this carvedilol is used because of antioxidant and antimitogenic properties. Then if you see the uses of beta blockers, so these are the important drugs. Now let us learn some important uses of beta blockers. First, in the CNS, they cause performance anxiety. They are used for performance anxiety, essential tremor, prophylaxis of migraine, extrapyramidal. They are also used for extrapyramidal symptoms like akathisia and alcohol withdrawal syndrome. So this is also used for extrapyramidal symptoms like akathisia, and this is also used for alcoholic withdrawal syndrome, that is propranolol. So in all these conditions, the drug of choice is propranolol. In eye, that is in glaucoma, timolol is the drug which is preferred. The drug of choice is propranolol. In glaucoma, if you see, timolol is preferred. Bitoxolol is the drug which is preferred in glaucoma in patients with bronchial asthma. Then hyperthyroidism can cause palpitations, and for reversal of this palpitations can be decreased by propranolol. Propranolol will also inhibit the conversion of T4 to T3. That is, peripheral conversion of T4 to T3 is decreased in for palpitations. So whenever there is palpitations due to hyperthyroidism, propranolol is given. In cardiovascular system, like in hypertension, arrhythmias, MI, angina, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, esophageal variceal bleed, propranolol. In esophageal variceal bleed, propranolol is used. Portal hypertension prophylaxis, we can use propranolol, but the drug of choice for portal hypertension prophylaxis is octreotide. The other drug, like infantile hemangioma, which is one of the most common vascular tumor of infancy. If for this infantile hemangioma, propranolol is used. Propranolol will decrease the volume of the tumor. Then if you see, the next important part is, normally this beta 2 receptor will causes vascular endothelial growth factor, which increase the blood vessel angiogenesis. So in order to prevent this can be blocked by the drug propranolol, and this blocks the angiogenesis in infantile hemangioma. Then we have beta blocker poisoning. If there is beta blocker poisoning, the drug of choice is glucagon, and the beta blockers can cause side effect like impotency. So these are the most important points about the beta blockers. Thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.